games coming up tomorrow night, and one of them is a huge showdown in taps between Grace and Brookhill. This is going to be taking place at Harrington Stadium tomorrow night in Bullard. And with us right now on the APEC VIP hotline, cutting-edge training for the serious athlete, apecgo.com. Joining us now, the head football coach at Grace, Mike Maddox. How you doing, Coach?
Good, Bryan. I'm glad to be on your show today.
Thank you very much for being on. I know you got to go to practice here in just a few minutes, but I appreciate you giving us a few minutes. When the season started, did you anticipate that this football team that you have now might be even better than the team that you had last year that went to the state semifinals?
Well, I knew that they would be similar in some of their characteristics. We were just tickled to death last year to be able to go as far as we did. Every team is new. The senior leadership changes. The chemistry of the team changes, and but when you get the leadership and the chemistry flowing pretty good in a team, a lot of times you play above your head, and that's where we always want to head here at Grace is playing above ourselves and overachieving. Well,
you've obviously had a heck of a year, 7-1 now, 4-1 in district play, and you're coming off of a big win over Carrollton Prince of Peace last week, 60-24. I got to ask you first of all about Cade Clayton. He's having a monster year. He's rushed for over 1,000 yards. He's caught almost 500 yards of passes. He plays defense. Talk a little bit about the kind of player he is.
Well, Cade's one of those special young men. Coming into the season, he was going to play a little bit of running back for us, and he was going to be a real go-to type of receiver. And when he got hurt in that fourth ball game, he couldn't rotate his wrist, but he said, "Hey, Coach, I know I can't catch the ball, but let me run it. Let me run it." So I was a little skeptical about it, but we put him in there. Next thing you know, he has 300-plus yards rushing in a game, and he hadn't looked back since. He's just one of those special young men that wherever you put him, he finds a way to excel.
Best player you've ever had at Grace, you think?
Well, he ranks up there. He definitely does. He ranks up there or at the top. We've had some pretty good ones over the years, and they all have that same character trait. You can move them 3, 4 different positions, and somehow they just catch fire wherever you put them.
All right, so now tomorrow night you guys take on Brookhill. Brookhill 5-3. They're 3-2. They're one of the better TAP schools in East Texas. I know this is a district game, and all district ball games are big. Is this one even bigger just because of the proximity of the two schools to each other?
I think it is. It adds a little bit of flavor to the whole equation. We respect them as our opponents, but at the same time, having them in the Tyler area, we know a lot about them. We know their coaches. They know us. Our kids know each other. Families go to church together, and so it does add a little bit. And in the workplace, you'll find the parents, that are working together, and in a good way. They may put a little bit more on the game than we should at times, but when it gets down to it, it's just boys playing against other boys, and they're both trying to win, and so it does add a little bit of extra excitement to the game, though.
What do you know about Brookhill this year? I know obviously defending state champs last year, but it was going to be a rebuilding season. They've turned out to be maybe better than they thought they might be at the beginning of the year.
Oh, they're definitely up near the top in our district. They've just got a good running back, and of course their quarterback has been outstanding the last 2 years, and we expect a great game out of him tomorrow night when we face him. Defensively, they've got a very strong, physically strong forcing unit up front with a good secondary, and they're good in their special teams. So just watching a little film from years past and seeing them this year, I don't really see a whole lot of difference.
What do you see as being the key matchup in this game?
Well, their defensive line, linebackers, outside linebackers, our offensive line, I think will be a good matchup. We're both blessed to have some pretty strong kids in those positions. But usually, games like this, they're usually decided by those that play a little bit more of an underdog role, those that you don't hear a lot about for some reason. They just become the go-to guys or positions that don't get a lot of publicity, but they end up winning the ball game for you.
How do you keep putting these kind of offenses on the field every year? I mean, this year you guys are averaging 48 points a game. You're putting up about 500 yards a game. I mean, it's just amazing the kind of numbers you're able to put up, and you did it even against a really strong non-district competition.
Yes, sir. It's just the nature of where football has gone over the years and the amount of things that you can do offensively. We have kids that are smart, and they do what they're asked, and it's just a fun offense to be with at schools like Grace or even, at Brookhill. It's just a type of young man that likes to focus in and achieve. They're going to do a good job in college, but if you can take a little bit more of an advanced offense that you might see a little bit more on the college level and teach it to them from the junior high up, by the time they're juniors, they're taking pretty good with it.
More of a running game this year for your team, though, I think, right?
Well, you always want to take what the other team gives, and you always want to play to your strengths. So every year there's years when we've had a little bit more passing than running. There's years when we're just about even, and, this year we're favoring the run a little bit more. But the thing about the spread offense is, when you spread people out, some people spread them to run them, and some people spread them to throw, and we call it taking the change. Just take your change. Take whatever they give you.
Now, as far as the game and the outcome of the game, tell me what's riding on this right now. Have you already clinched a playoff berth, or is that still up for grabs at this point?
Well, I believe mathematically we have. There's a few little equations that can take place, but I believe mathematically we're in, and now it's a situation where, each win gives you a chance to go up the ladder the way you're seated in your district, and, our goal is to host a playoff game. And to do that, we've got to win our next two games, but we just got to take them one at a time, and, this one is as far as we're concerned, this is the biggest game of the year. Now,
you saw how good your team was going to the state semifinals last year. When you look at this ball club, do you see that kind of future for your team?
Well, I believe I do. You want to peak at the right time, and it all evolves around how healthy you can be in the playoffs. And last year, we lost Adam Graham the last game, and that was really our last injury loss. Well, we lost Adam again a week ago, and I just want to throw his name out there as a young man that, exemplifies what we're trying to do here at Grace, and it's very unfortunate, that we've lost him for the season. He's the kind of young man that'll he'll take his surgery, he'll rehab his way back in, and, we look forward to having a good spring with him in the baseball. On our baseball team.
How about Garrett Newman? I know he's been playing with rheumatoid arthritis all year long, and he's actually had some significant playing time, splitting time at quarterback with Blake White. And how's he holding up through all of this?
Well, he's holding up pretty well. He went from playing 3 plays the first game to about 5 plays the next game, and then, each game has got a little bit stronger. He just had a lot to overcome, and, gosh, what can you say about a young man like Garrett Newman that, this disease just, almost took it completely away from him, and he's just fought back and done everything he can to get back on the field for his teammates, and what a great job he's done. It's just fantastic, to see him have the success that he's had at times this year, and of course he's always quick to give credit to other people for blocking or carrying out their fakes to help him get a little bit more open. But to see him come back and fight the battle that he's fought and to have some success, it's just added so much to our team that goes far beyond the scoreboard.
Well, Coach, a great season so far. We wish you the best of luck tomorrow night against Brookhill, and we do appreciate you coming on with us right before practice today. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for having me.
You bet. That's Coach Mike Maddox from Grace Community School, head coach of the Cougars. They take on Brookhill tomorrow night at Brookhill, going against the Guard at a big tap showdown. We're going to take a timeout, scratch the post for just a few minutes, and then come back and maybe take your phone calls on 99.3 Talk FM, the sports talk of East Texas.